Imagine thinking that they don't love reporting the worst thing that happens on earth. They love it. That's where their ratings come from. They love reporting tragedies. They use women, they use children, they use minorities to advance political agendas. It's sick. It's disgusting. It's wrong. It's wicked. We're going to call it out. We're going to tell the truth. We're all about love and unity on Right Side Broadcasting. We love God. We love country. We love freedom. I saw people in the chat, some people saying, where are the masks? Some people like freedom. This is an open air outdoor event. There's no science whatsoever around covering your nose and breathing in your own carbon dioxide outdoors. We don't do it for the flu. We don't do it for the common cold. We only do it apparently when President Trump's running for re-election. That's the truth. Everybody knows it. So for the people being fake about the mask, stop it. Just stop it. It's really low energy. If you don't like what we do, you're welcome to go watch Joe Biden's live events. Oh, you don't like doing that because you love to hate Trump. That is where your energy is. You need to probably do something about that. Go love yourself. We're all about love here. We don't want to deal with the hate. That's pretty much all I can say about it. I try to be as polite as I can. You know, it's hard because people constantly are trying to bait us in and say stuff like, "You're Uncle Tom's," because you don't see yourself as victims. What are your thoughts on that? I know you touched on it earlier, but what are your thoughts about people who can't handle seeing black conservatives?
You know, this idea has actually energized me even more because the more people say that we should be oppressed, that we should be victims, the more I want to be a victor. The more I step over oppression in a sense, because people really think that I must believe that I'm down in order for me to be up, which is so backwards. Where, see, on my channel, on Adventist Hermes, Justin Wilson, and on YouTube, I often talk about these racial politics, these social issues, because, see, this is really controlling the vote for most people. I mean, a lot of people are really trying to, I guess, pat us on the back and say, oh, we understand what you go through, or I feel sorry for you. I don't want to feel sorry for. I don't want to be pitied. I mean, like, I live in the greatest country in the world. And I mean, when I compare myself to, I guess, other generations, this is the best time to live, when you think about it. I mean, we have social media, we have cell phones, we got all kinds of things to be successful. And we have I would say, the best president in history at this point. And I mean, life is good. I mean, we can make it even better. So to try to tell me that I'm oppressed and life is so horrible, I think that's a spit in the face to history. I mean, where things were worse. So I would not consider myself oppressed. I mean, actually, I'm just impressed by the progress, more so of America. That's what I go through.
Amen to that, man. How do I follow that up? You know, I just feel like the most free and prosperous black people on the face of planet Earth live right here in the United States of America. That's not up for debate. That's not something that you can dispute. The most free, rich, prosperous black people on this earth live in the United States of America. The most prosperous immigrants come to this country and grow their whole family wealth, build their whole empire here in the United States of America. And you've got these Marxists on the left, I call them gatekeepers to freedom, right? They want to keep black people enslaved on a ideological plantation of thought where you only see yourself as black. You don't see yourself as American. You don't even see yourself as a child of God. You just see your black skin, and that's it. And you look around and you look through the prism of oppression with everything, and it allows you to scapegoat failure and say, well, it's because I'm living in this oppressive system. You know, I think it's crazy how they try to blame President Trump for all of the police shootings. Last time I checked, these shootings are happening in Democrat-controlled cities. Fun fact, did you know that mayors are the ones that appoint police chiefs who oversee police departments, which are not always good as far as how they police black neighborhoods or just citizens in general? So how is it President Trump's fault for police shootings? That's actually a thing. They're blaming President Trump. It's like, well, he's fueling it. He's militarizing the police departments. I mean, these things are just so dishonest and disgusting. But it's these Democrat-controlled cities which are oppressed. That's where you see all of the crime. You see dilapidated housing. You see failing schools, failing infrastructure, no jobs, crime, homelessness, shootings. Minneapolis is a prime example. Democrat mayor, Chicago. These are actually this is actually happening in Democrat-controlled cities, and it's time for change. And I think Black Americans are starting to wake up to it. You see, President Trump's poll numbers are up with Black Americans. It's the truth. They're going to be high. He's going to get a big chunk of the Black vote, whether my friends on the left want to admit it or not. Black people, myself included, we support the president. They want to deny it. It makes them angry, and that's why they resort to the insults. Uncle Tom, coon, sellout, all heard it all before, right? It doesn't change reality after the insults. It's really just people waking up, seeing what's happening, and recognizing that the Democrats have never done anything for Black people. In fact, they've always been on the wrong side of history from their inception. From slavery to Jim Crow to segregation to opposing civil rights to now Black Lives Matter. They've always been on the wrong side of history. They love to tell us the party switch, and yet they still believe in judging people based on the color of their skin. Explain to me how the party switch if they still believe in judging people based on the color of their skin. And the only way, apparently, to uplift Black people is to oppress white people and to preach hatred and say horrible things. Put up the stupid display at the Smithsonian African American Museum in Washington, D.C. saying success and picking yourself up by your bootstraps and hard work are considered white characteristics. I mean, you can't get more insulting and condescending than that by saying that Black people basically can't do it without government handouts. It's always about what can the government do for you. No, the government's not supposed to do anything for you except stay out of your way. People don't need a handout, they need a hand up. We don't want to be treated special. We want to be treated equal. Would you agree?
Yeah. You know, what I find interesting is that they consider law and order a white thing, and that leaves a person to believe that disorder and lawlessness is a minority thing, which is so strange. So when it comes to crime, what I find is that the left, they feel like they have to support the criminal. They have to be the party of the criminal. It's not the party of the oppressed anymore, but the party of the criminal now, because they see the criminal equated as the oppressed. So that's why I find it so weird, is that they're not actually supporting like a prosperous country, but more anarchy. I mean, it's more indirect when it comes to politicians, but down below, seeing what Black Lives Matter support, seeing what Antifa support, and then seeing their support for Joe Biden, seeing that their website, Antifa.com, goes straight to Joe Biden. I mean, how can you separate the two? I mean, they're just speaking from, both sides of their mouth, hoping that, okay, one would actually be convinced by their softer language, and another one would be accepted by their more radical terms. So, but to anyone who has common sense, you can see that they're a party of crime at this point. I mean, with all the lawlessness, all they're doing is minimizing it, and then when it gets too, I guess, embarrassing, then they're blaming on Trump. They say, well, this is Trump's America. This is their state. The blue states are not only birthing it, but nurturing it. And they're raising these criminals, in a sense. Let me not say criminals, but more so the criminal ideology, the criminal sympathy. They're raising that into a great teenager. And do you notice how now it's like as a teenager, they're rebelling against their own parents? You see how they actually ran Mayor Wheeler out from his house or his condo, and he had to move somewhere else. It's crazy how the roosters, the hens, came home to roost. So right now it's become a party where they can't even control what's going on within their own city. So at this point, it's like they want to give it over to Trump and say, well, this is yours. Do this. This is your fault. But they're creating it. They're creating problems to make Trump's job even harder, and then have some campaign, platform based on that. So I just find it's incredibly dishonest what the Democrats are pushing for.
Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. Accuse them of what you are guilty of. It's kind of crazy how President Trump and the Republicans are the ones that ruined all the Democrat cities. That's the reason Portland protested and rioted and burned their city down for 100 plus days. President Trump's responsible for the wildfires in California, even though they mismanaged burning off, doing controlled burns in their wilderness. I mean, You only need two brain stems, two brain cells to rub together to see that it's them that's doing it. They are the political arsonists, and they're also the real arsonists, quite literally, as people have been arrested for trying to start fires in California, Oregon, and Washington State. These cities are in decay, and the pathway to control for Democrats is first they have to remove the divine, they have to remove God, symbols of God, and separate you from your Creator, and then you have to separate and break up and dismantle the nuclear family, which coincidentally, that's what Black Lives Matter wants to do. It's an anti-Black organization. And I will never apologize for being staunchly adversarial to Black Lives Matter. That is a wicked Marxist, evil organization that wants to dismantle the Black nuclear family. And nobody on planet Earth is going to convince me that that makes Black Lives Matter. That does not improve Black lives. When you take the father out of the home, and then the child is ultimately raised by bad culture, horrible culture, hip-hop culture, ignorant rappers, Cardi B, right? And then they want to influence women to marry the government, right? You'll get more benefits if you don't have a man in the house. Democrats support that. The Black Lives Matter agenda. I still don't know what Free Palestine has to do with Black Lives Matter, but that is on their official website, which a lot of people who support Black Lives Matter haven't even visited their website to see that they want to dismantle the nuclear family, that they want to defund the police, that they're promoting a lot of degeneracy. They want to uplift degeneracy. And destroying the Black nuclear family, supporting Planned Parenthood, which more Black babies are aborted than born in cities like New York. These things are evil, people, and that's what I'm going to continue to call out and expose. Black Lives Matter has done so much damage to our country in such a short period of time. And the more people that look at their website and start to research it, the more people are going to start to distance themselves from it. Like the support for BLM has gone down tremendously, especially now that you see that they are actually killing people. I mean, nothing says Black Lives Matter like ending the life of a Black person, and yet here we are. That actually happened. It's just an insane upside down clown world we're living in right now, Justin. But anyway, we're going to get back to this crowd here, guys, because we are just minutes away from President Trump's arrival in Bemidji, Minnesota. We've got a very